Shalom, it's your brother Daniel Allah coming at you with a video. I want to say happy Sabbath to all the brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. I'm doing this quick video in regards to age consent in the Bible, being of 20 years old or above for men and women, in light or in lieu of the latest accusations that's been brought out against the brothers in House of Israel. A lot of the videos that was done by Elder Quanath and FOPE. A lot of the live videos I've seen, conversations dealing with what's the age consent, what can we come together and to be on one accord, as far as the age consent for a young girl, to bring her and to marry her. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, honor to the Most High Yah, through His Son, Yahushua, Yeshua HaMashiach, the anointed Savior of the nation of Israel. So we're going to start off in the book of 1 Corinthians 7, verse 36. The famous scripture that's used by brothers who are of the mindset that is 20 years younger, that's under the age of 20 years. So let's get some understanding. But if any man think he behave himself uncomely towards his virgin, let me highlight that. I tried to highlight it already. If she passed the flower of her age. Okay, so you have that famous word if. And these so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not, let them marry. So question. Does this mean that if she has not passed the flower of her age, then he has sinned? Is that a yay or a nay? Can we get an answer to that question? If she has not passed the flower of her age, then he have sinned. If so, what law has he broken? And what is the sin for a pedophile in the nation of Israel? Okay? So that's the question. So what's the answer? The answer is in the law. This is one thing that I would, add to the good work that the brother Quanath have done concerning this matter. And everybody else in Israel that I've spoken on, the predator that has, tried to take on a young girl in the nation of Israel. You have to bring, when you judge in a matter, you got to bring forth the law and what he's being charged with. You have to bring forth his charge, and what he's have already done is brought forth witnesses and evidence through the pictures, through the testimonies from people who have talked to the family, saying that they have not known about this situation going on between him and that young sister. So we have to bring forth a charge, which means you have to read the law and bring forth the charge that he's been charged with. So here's the charge: Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter and the 25th verse. And it says, but if a man find a betrothed damsel, and we're going to get to that word damsel a little bit later, all right, in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. Very important. We're talking about the charge that brother Yaquab is being charged with. What is it? Statutory rape. We're talking about rape without consent. Okay? Even Esau's law system acknowledges a minor not being of age to make a sound decision. Okay? So we're talking about the age of consent in the Bible. All right? Statutory rape is based on the notion that a person under a certain age cannot consent to sexual contact or activity because he or she lacks maturity or judgment necessary to make a knowing choice about sexual activity. You can get that definition at this link, criminaldefenselawyer.com. All right, there's the link. This also includes the father giving a daughter away to a predator. Okay, because his brothers, who I know very well, that I've had conversations with, dealing with the righteous law in Exodus 22:16, when you you entice a maid and lie with her, you shall surely endow her to be your wife. Salak. So, sorry for that interruption. Let me continue on. It says this includes the father giving her away to a predator. Okay. The law in Exodus 22:16 says, if a man entice a maid and lay with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If the father utterly refuse, he shall give her to the father 50 shekels of silver, according to the Diary of Virgins. So we all know about Numbers 30, with a young woman that's in her father's house in her youth cannot make a vow. Her father can disannul it. But we cannot sit here and say, because of Numbers 30, that a father can do whatever he pleases with his daughter in the nation of Israel. So, can a father give his daughter away to a predator in Israel? You can't use Numbers 30 to say a father can give his daughter away to a pedophile. You understand? Let's get Leviticus 19:29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness. So there are restrictions on what a father can do. A father could be motivated by that dowry we talked about in Exodus 22:16. He could be money motivated. The love of money is the root of all evil. So he could be motivated by money, and a predator, usually when you deal with predators and pedophiles, they have money. Your Epsteins, your R. Kellys, you can go down the list of pedophiles who like them young, and they usually got money to spend to go to these different countries and indulge in young men and young women. You understand? So there are restrictions on what a father can do. So he cannot give his daughter away when she has not passed the flower of her age, because we read that earlier. Let's go back up. It says, but if any man think he behave himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she passed the flower of her age. So apply that to Numbers 30. Can a father give his daughter away to a pedophile if she has not passed the flower of her age? Answer that question, Israel. Okay, let's continue on. Where is this? This word, Strong's H2490, kalal. I don't have my Hawking voice yet. You know what I mean? I'm getting there. This is the flower of her age. That's the Greek word for flower of her age. No. Salakia. That is not it. Salakia. I got that definition a little bit lower. This word is a Hebrew word, H2490, kalal. That means prostitute, okay? That's a word for prostitute. What does it mean? To profane, to defile, pollute, desecrate, begin. To profane oneself, defile oneself, pollute oneself, ritually, sexually, okay? When you talk about prostitute thy daughter, to cause her to be a whore, to be polluted, to be defiled. Okay, it's the same when a young boy is turned out by a preacher or some other weirdo, when they turn him out to be a homosexual. You understand? You have tainted their mind. You have polluted them. You have presented them with something that they normally would not have been exposed to. You understand? So you have that understanding when dealing with a young boy, and there's plenty of examples of that when you dealt with that youngin. What was the name of that elder? That was in New York City. That was locked up. Polite's elder, the one he called his master teacher. Oh, Dr. Malachi York Z. Okay, molesting a young man, and he came on video saying that he was eaten and he was defiled. So this is what you do, again, transitioning that into a young girl. When you defile a young girl before she passed the flower of her age, you have exposed her to something that she has no clue of. You understand? This is why it's considered statutory rape. And this is why this is the charge that Elder Yaquab is being charged with, according to the law. All right? So let's continue on. Let's get to that flower of her age. In the Greek, Strong's G5230, hyperakmos. Okay? What is that definition? Flower of her age. The base of G188, beyond acme. Okay? What does acme mean? We're gonna get into that. Figuratively, of a daughter past the bloom, prime of youth, past the flower of her age. Okay, these are the definitions. This has nothing to do with her menstrual cycle. Okay, I don't know where these weirdos are getting this understanding from. At past the flower of her age is talking about her menstrual cycle. You know, we've all been conditioned listening to these brothers teach this stuff for years, and no one has ever looked into it. This says to pass the bloom, the acme. Okay, beyond the bloom or prime of life. When is the prime of your life? When are you in your prime, Israel? Think about it. When are you in your prime? The name of this lesson is what is the age consent for in the Bible? Okay, 20 years of age or older. Everybody knows that you are in the prime of your life. You all want to get back to your high school weight when you were in high school. Okay, or when you left high school going into college, you know, as an athlete, or you know, or even if you wasn't an athlete, you all start your prime getting out of high school, going into college, or going into the prime of your life in your 20s. Okay, it says overripe, plump, and ripe. So we're dealing with terms. Because again, look at the analogy. We're talking about a flower, right? So you have to look at nature to determine why he's using this analogy. When you're dealing with agriculture and you're dealing with harvesting, you cannot pick that fruit or that vegetable before it has reached its maturity or its ripeness. It has to be plump, okay? So we're using that to describe a young woman. All right. So that definitely is not dealing with a girl just getting into her puberty and having her menstrual cycle. Sometimes that can be as young as 9, 10 years old. You mean you weirdos are able to take a young girl at that young age, okay? And so in greater danger of defilement of a virgin. So the first word that was used was acme. What does acme mean? This is out of Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Acme is the highest point or stage. Also something or someone that represents perfection of the thing. Express a system that is the acme of efficiency. So we're talking about acme, the prime or the pinnacle. Let's look at some more let's look up some more antonyms and synonyms of acme, because this has to be dealing with some form of menstrual cycle, right? Let's look up acme some more. Salakia. Oh, made a mistake. I guess I can still copy this right quick. Salakia everybody. Paste. Alright, this is Acme, right? Webster's Merriam.com. Merriam-Webster's. This is synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms. Apex. Look at it, Israel. Okay. Capstone. Climax. Crescendo. Crest. Crown. Culmination. You're building up to something, right? Head. Height. High noon. High watermark. Meridian. Okay. Plus ultra. Noon. Okay, look at your clock. Where's noon? High noon, right? Noontime, right? Peak, pinnacle. You see? Antonyms, bottom, nadir, rock bottom. All right, so has nothing to do with minstrel when you're dealing with flower of her age, haparakmos. So look at that in context. 1 Corinthians 7:36. But if any man think that he behave himself uncomely towards his virgin, if, I gotta keep highlighting that if, because if this person has not done so, then we're talking about sin. All right. If she passed the flower of her age, meaning the prime of her life, at 14, 15, 16 years old, is she in her prime? Think about that, Israel. Is that girl in her prime? No. And need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry. We're talking about age consent in the Bible, Israel. So let's continue on. This is in the Torah as well. The phrase flower of age. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 33, and it says, and the man of thine whom I shall not cut off from mine altar shall be to consume thine eyes and to grieve thine heart, and all the increase of thine house shall die in the flower of their age. So does these men as talked about in this chapter, do they have menstrual cycles? Are they in the flower of their age? Here's the Hebrew word, flower of their age. Strong's H582 Enowish or Enowish. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing. Okay, it's from the Hebrew word 605, meaning feeble, weak, etc. But Enowish is properly immortal, and thus differing from the mortal dignified 120. Hence, a man in general, singly or collectively. Another, bloodthirsty, certain, man, diverse fellow, in the flower of their age, husband. Okay, these are the definitions of this word anawish. So if you combine it with the root word meaning feeble or weak, we're talking about somebody who's vulnerable to a degree, a vulnerable young man. Okay, certain mortal man, people, person, servant, some of them, stranger, those their trade. It is often unexpressed in the English version, especially when used in opposition with another word. Okay, so this is how this word has been used. It's been used to describe man 520 times in the Bible. It's been used to describe certain 10 times in the Bible, 3 times for husband, some 3 times, merchant man 2 times, persons 2 times, and miscellaneously used 24 times. So, and again, some of the definitions again means man, mortal man, person, mankind, of an individual, man collectively, or man/mankind. All right. So that's the word for flower of their age in Nowish in 1 Samuel 2:33. Has nothing to do with the menstrual cycle, Israel. So we're talking about a man. When does a man become a man in the Bible? Okay, from my research, is when you become 20 years of age or older. Okay, we're gonna get to a little bit of that later on. So let's get back to damsel. Remember we read that earlier, right? Where did we read that? Deuteronomy 22 and 25. But if a man betroth a damsel in the field, okay? Because this has been brought to my attention as far as what is being used to describe a woman under the age of 20 years old and where they're getting this from. All right, so let's look up damsel. All right. Damsel, Strong's H5 291, Na'ara. Here's the definition: Na'ara, feminine of H528, a girl. This is important. I want y'all to pay attention to this. This is why I highlighted it. A girl from infancy to adolescence. I'll keep that. Remember that when they describing what damsel is in the Bible. Okay, damsel, maid, young woman. So there's our definitions. From infancy to adolescence. There's your range. Okay? Because I would love to be corrected if I'm wrong. Anybody who know me know I'm humble, and I will listen and research the information that's presented. I have not found anybody in the Bible that describes a young girl when she was married, her age, like to a T, like verbatim, where it says she was this certain age when she married so and so and he went in unto her. Otherwise, I don't think we would have this conversation dealing with what's the age consent, and people are so confused about it. So we're dealing with speculation, and we're dealing with the Strong's definition. So we're going to use the Strong's definition. All right. And this is the range that we were given through the Strong's about what damsel means. From infancy, from a young baby, from an infant. That's where you start to adolescence. Now, I've been told that adolescence is dealing with teenage years. This is when you get in your understanding on taking a young girl from 14 to 16 to 17 years of age, but don't ignore the infancy, because this is where you should start from according to the Strong's definition. Don't forget that. All right. If y'all want to use this damsel to describe a young 15-year-old girl, because we can read this about, let's get that scripture in Deuteronomy 24. Not Deuteronomy 24. Genesis 24. Salakia. Let's go and get the chapter. Genesis, the 24th chapter, right? And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord blessed Abraham in all things. Let me skip down. And the servant said unto him, peradventure the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land, must I needs bring thy son again to the land from whence thou camest. No, okay, so Abraham told his servant to go and find a wife for Isaac, his son. All right. So Isaac went to the land of his forefathers to go and find his brethren unto the city of Nahor in Mesopotamia. All right. Hold on. Trying to find the verse. Trying to get straight to the point here. Okay, here we go. Verse 24. And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. right? She said, moreover unto him, hold on, I can't highlight this. We have both straw and proventure enough and room to lodge in. And the man bowed his head and worshipped the Most High. And he said, blessed be Yahweh, God of Abraham, my master Abraham, who have not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I, being in the way of the Most High, led me to the house of my master's brethren. And the damsel, okay, the damsel, this is what they use. They're describing this young woman as a teenager, because they say that this means adolescence. But you cannot forget from infancy to adolescence. That's what the Strong says. So don't forget that. The damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. And Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man unto the well. All right. Skip down. Verse 35. And the Lord hath blessed my master greatly, and he is become great, and have given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and men servant and maid servant, and camel and asses. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son unto my master when she was old, and unto him have he given all that he hath. And my master, so that's very important about marriage and leaving an inheritance unto your children, and having that inheritance and building on that inheritance in order to take a wife. And he's presenting this information unto Laban and Rebekah's family, so they can have confidence that this man can take care of their daughter. Okay, so this had nothing to do with you just, going to city and popping a girl and not dealing with the family and not showing that you're able to provide for that young girl. Okay, I'm just reading and breaking it down. All right, and the master made me swear, saying, thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but thou shalt go into my father's house to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son. All right, trying to get to the point here. All right. Verse 46, and she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder. So she went and got water for him and his camels. And said, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her, and she said, whose daughter art thou? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put an earring upon her face and a bracelet upon her hand. So that was the dowry that was paid to her. So we're going to skip down a little bit more, because this is Rebekah the damsel, who these men are describing as a adolescent or a teenager. Okay. Okay, here we go. Verse 56, and he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing the Lord have prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel, the adolescence, from infancy to adolescence. Okay, keep that in mind. And said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. So, very important. Remember what we talked about earlier. We talked about earlier that we cannot use Numbers 30 for a predator to take a young girl if she has not passed the flower of her age. Because again, do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore. Okay, so by him giving her or asking her a question of this magnitude, he has confidence that she was of age to make that decision. I want you to pay attention to that, Israel, and not just look at the Strong's definition. and say, okay, well, this is a damsel, meaning she's a teenager, and just go and run with your thoughts down the block somewhere. Okay? He asked her a question. Let's read it again. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. Remember, statutory rape, meaning a woman who is young and can't make a sound decision. You see the evidence is being presented here? And they called Rebekah and said unto her, this verse 58, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. Okay, so she had a chance to listen to all the inheritance that Isaac has received from Abraham, and how he can provide for her. And she's had a chance to soak all of that information in, along with her father making a sound decision. Okay. And they said, and they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. So another thing I want to point out is, if we're dealing with, going back to this Strong's definition of adolescence, from infancy to adolescence. Let me forget that. Hold on. Damsel, right? Here we go. We don't have any time frame on how long it took. Number one, we don't have an age range. That's clear. We don't have an age, but we're looking at the evidence showing that she made a sound decision. Okay? But technically, we don't have an age, so we're speculating. So since you guys get to speculate, I get to speculate also. And this is my speculation. You understand that she made a sound decision, meaning she was of age to make that sound decision. Meaning she was between, if I'm going to take a guess, I would say about that 18 and 19-year-old range. And we're going to deal with the teenager years, okay? But I got more evidence that adolescence isn't even dealing with somebody underneath 20 years of age. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But continuing on with this definition for damsel, in the Strong's H5291, the following: damsel is used 34 times, maiden 16 times, maid 7 times, young 4, young woman 1 time in the Bible. Girl, damsel, female servant, girl, damsel, little girl, of young woman, marriageable young woman, concubine, prostitute, maid, female attendant, female servant. So here's my evidence that this was above 20 years of age, of older, okay? And it's in the book of Ruth, the 1st chapter and the 4th verse. And it says, and they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years, Israel. Okay, so she was married for 10 years before she became a widow. Keep that in mind. So Ruth first became a wife at what age? When was Ruth married? We're going with this damsel definition because this same word was used in the 4th chapter of Ruth to describe her being married to Boaz. So that's Ruth chapter 4 verse 12. And it says, and let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Most High shall give thee of this what? Young woman. When you look up that word, it's damsel. So look at the timeline. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Israel. I haven't read anything about marriage in the Bible dealing with a female of this young age where it describes how old she was, which again is the reason why we're having this confusion and this conversation on the Yaikwab and him dealing with this young girl. Okay, you got one people on one side saying this is our culture. We took them while they were young, according to the Bible, although I haven't seen any evidence of that. Specifically where it says she was 14 years old when he went in unto her. Please, if you guys have that, I am willing to be corrected. Post it, on this video. Hallelujah. And then you have people on the other side who are saying, look, That's too young. We need to set a standard on a logical age range for a young girl. And again, I present that evidence as being 20 years of age or older. So, looking at Ruth 4 and 12 again, it says, the Lord shall give thee of this young woman, that is damsel, that is Na'ara, Salakia, Na'ara. So, if she was married at 14 years old, like you guys like to say, a damsel, so 10 years that passed of her being married, she's 24 years of age, still being described as a young woman. See that? As a damsel. So does this definition from infancy to adolescence, if you're going to take adolescence as describing teenage years, then why is a woman, if she was married at 14, whatever number you want to give her, okay, unless you want to sit here and say that she was married at 8 years old, I know you Negroes ain't saying that, right? Because 10 years from 8 years old will make her 18. You see, you have to look at this timeline. This is a cold cut. So however old you saying as far as her adolescence, her teenage years, if she's not under 10 years old when she was first married before she became a widow, then she will be over that 20 years of age and still be described as a young woman. So I can't take this definition of damsel at face value to mean only in your teenage years. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the evidence for that. Na'ara. Look up Ruth 4 and 12 and you'll find that young woman is damsel. So let's listen. Let's go to the Jewish Encyclopedia on their marriage laws. This is from the Jewish Encyclopedia. This is from the spit hackers. You know, the hackers, okay? They even telling you that, you know, we're not dealing with no young 14, 15-year-old girls, okay? Age for marriage. This was by Solomon Schechter, okay? The first positive commandment of the Bible, according to the rabbinic interpretation, is that concerning the propagation of the human species, meaning to be fruitful and multiply, okay? It is thus considered the duty of every Israelite to marry as early in life as possible. 18 years is, hold on, I'm trying to highlight it for you. Salahia. 18 years is the age set by the rabbis. Okay? Zoom in on that. 18 years is the age set by the rabbis. You understand me? And anyone remaining unmarried after his 20th year is said to be cursed by the Most High himself. That's not in the Bible, okay? But we dealing with these people is even closer to your 20 years of age or older than some of you Israelites who's saying that 15, 14 years of age is acceptable with you. I don't think so, according to the law. Okay? So we're talking about the prime of your life. Let's go back up to that definition for hyperakmos, flower of her age. We're dealing with an analogy, okay, and that's using agriculture as an example or as a parable. You don't have a parable unless you have the physical representation of that parable. That's what makes the wisdom double, like you read in the book of Job. All right? Hyperakmos, figuratively a daughter past the bloom, okay? Ripe, overripe, plump, ripe. So I got some images for you, Israel. Check these out. This is a tomato plant, okay? And the growth process of a tomato plant. I don't know if y'all can see these, right? But we're talking about the flower of her age. You see this little youngin over here at the far right? That's when it's just starting to flower. Now this diagram up here at the beginning You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages, right? At the first, okay, you're missing the seed part, okay? So we got the seed representing the sperm being put into the woman, the seed going into the ground. This is the analogy. When it come out of the ground, you're talking about it being born. That's this first stage right here, right? The second stage, you're talking about your infancy. From infancy, right? Okay, because if we're going to use that definition for damsel, from infancy to adolescence, then you can have a straight weirdo, a real weirdo, go and ask for your 5-month, 5-year-old, 7-year-old daughter because she's a damsel. And we dealing with the strongest definition, like you guys are bringing and presenting to me, then this is what they can use. Now, do y'all think that that's right? Can you really take a girl from infancy to adolescence because she's a damsel? Are y'all really promoting pedophilia in Israel? That don't make no sense. So going back to this diagram, this second little mound, that's the infancy stage. And this third one, you're dealing with her a person's like single years, you know, from 7 years old to, you know, to 10, you know, or from, you know, 5 to 10 or whatever. Okay. As you can see, it's flowering, you know, and again, in this society, a woman has a period, she starts to flower, right? Like you weirdos conjecting in your mind to think that, oh, flower means, means your puberty, her menstrual cycle. Okay. When we just read the definition of flower of age, is not dealing with that. So this fourth mound, you see the little green tomatoes, they haven't quite turned red yet. They're starting to turn, like this diagram right here. Okay, this one at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can't really highlight these or circle them so y'all can see, but around, like, you know, the fourth one from the left, from the plump one to the left, you know, you at that stage, you know, all the way up until the very next one to the ripeness, the one that's fully red. You're at that stage on this fourth mound right here. Okay, so you can see some plumpness is starting to turn red. It's changing its color a little bit. This is how you're describing a young teenage girl. You know, how you weirdos are looking at them and saying, look, she got some breasts. She got, you know, a little bit of booty poking out. You know, she looking, you know, like she's about ready. You know, again, in the mind of a weirdo here, we're talking about. Okay, and this is not Danya Allah's mind. I want to make that absolute clear. But again, you're getting a visual of the analogy of the flower of her age, and why the Most High used that terminology. So, okay, it's starting to change, and then you get to the final mount, the fifth one, where it's fully red and is ready, is ripe, is ready, is plump, is ready to be harvested. So she's past, you know, that quote unquote adolescent stage of the teenage years into her 20s, and now you're at the red one to the far left, where she is ready to be married or harvested. You understand? Now let me get a scripture real quick in the book of Ezekiel. I think it's chapter 14, if I'm not mistaken. No, Ezekiel 16:8. All right, this is Ezekiel 16. I'll start at verse 6. It says, I'll start at verse 5. It says, none I pity thee to do any of these things unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast out into the open field to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born. Listen to the listen how the Most High break this down. So you're talking about the visualization of Brenda's had a baby, right? When you look at Tupac's video back in the 90s, I think it was 1996 when he made that video. And you had the girl, Brenda, go and take the baby and put him in a garbage can. It says, but thou was cast out in the open field to the loathing of thy person. So she loathed that child when she put him in the garbage can. She was disgusted with the baby. She loathed it. Or how society like to describe as having what is that called? Where you have the baby blues, postpartum depression, right? So Ezekiel 16:6, it says, and when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thine own blood. Hold on for a minute, my daughter's is okay. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live. Yeah, I said unto thee, when thou was in thy blood, live. So again, this is post being born. When you come out of the womb, you're still in your own blood. He's looking upon you and he's telling you to live. He's having compassion upon you, right? Verse 7, and I've caused thee to multiply as the bud. Look at the terminology. As the bud. You see? As the bud, right? Of the field. And thou hast increased and waxen great. Thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, and thy hair is grown, whereas thou was naked and bare. Look at these stages, Israel. Being born, this first mount right here. In thy blood, the second mount. Okay? Thou, hold on. It says, and thou hast increased and waxed great. Thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, and thy hair is grown. Okay? So we're talking about between this third and this fourth mount. Okay? In the eyes of a weirdo who's looking at a young little adolescent girl saying to himself, she's growing older. She's getting some breast on her, brother. She's, up into her teenage years. Okay? Even into the age of 18, 19 years old. All right? Thy breasts are fashioned and thy hair is grown, whereas thou was naked and bare. And now, when I pass by thee. So there's a waiting process, just like it is with being ripe and harvesting the fruits. Another example you can use is an avocado. You can use any fruit or any vegetable you want. Well, another one, a good one, is avocado. You catch it at a store. It's green. It's a lighter green color. It hasn't really turned that dark, earth tone green color. And when you squeeze it, it's still hard. It hasn't softened up. You understand? It's not ripe yet. It's not ready. You understand? It says, and now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yeah, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant, meaning marriage, love, sex, marriage with thee, saith the Lord Most High, and thou becamest mine. So there was a waiting period until that individual was ripe, being Israel. Okay? For the analogy in that chapter. So again, just some visuals for you. We're talking about even the decade itself shows you that you pass from one decade to another, from being 10 years old to 20. You have passed a threshold. you have now entered into the time of love that we're talking about here in Ezekiel 16:8. Because now not only have you matured physically, but you also mature mentally. And we're going to see that later on when we're dealing with, the children of Israel that went into the land. All right. Age consent for a man. Okay. This is Genesis 38:11. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. Be grown, right? Look at that, Israel. For he said, least peradventure he die also as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. So why did Tamar have to wait until Shelah was grown? Why? Because he has not passed the flower of his age, like we read above in 1 Samuel. What's that? 2nd chapter in the 33rd verse. He has not passed that threshold to becoming a man. Same for a woman. For you weirdos in Israel who want to take a young girl in her teenage years. They have not passed the flower of their age yet. And you trying to deal with them and cause them to be a whore in Israel. Especially you of an old age. Matter of fact, let me go back to that Jewish encyclopedia. It brought out some more information on let me finish reading this. It says some urge that children should marry as soon as they reach the age of puberty, i.e. the 14th year. That's in the Sanhedrin. Okay, that's in the what do you call that? The Talmud. All right. Okay, it says Hista attributed his mental superiority to the fact that he was married when he was but 16 years old. It was, however, strictly forbidden for parents to give their children in marriage before they had reached the age of puberty in the Sanhedrin. A man who, without any reason, refused to marry after he has passed his 20th year was frequently compelled, to do so by the court. Okay. No, this is not the one I was looking for. There was another passage that I forgot to read, which is in a different book on marriage. Oh, here it is. This passage right here. I don't think I can zoom in too much. It's just a picture. It says, having reigned there was a part where it says that they really forbid it, somebody that was very old to be marrying a young woman. If I find it, I'll post another video on it. But let me move on for time's sake. Most High will. All right. Genesis 38:11 again. Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, least peradventure he die also as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. So let's look up that word grown in the lexicon. Strong's H1431. Gadol. A primitive root properly to twist. Compare H1434, i.e. to be causively make large. Okay, to make large. in various sense, as in body, comma, and mind. He has to grow mentally and physically. Same with a young girl. She can't, you can't take a young teenage 15-year-old girl and think she has the mental capacity to deal with you as a wife in marriage. That's not possible. She is not past the flower of her age, for you weirdos in Israel. In estate, meaning money, you understand? We read about that with Abraham and Isaac passing down his inheritance unto his children. That's what the scripture said, a good man leave an inheritance unto his children, and they are blessed after him. In honor, also in pride, advance, boast, bring up, exceed, excellent, become, do, give, make, wax, great. Okay? He had to grow. He had to be grown. He had to be a man before she was able to take him. But if that wasn't, why is that the case? Okay? This is more biblical usage for that word, gadol. To grow, become great, or important, promote. Okay? You can't promote. Even Esau's laws. You can't hire a youngin'. I think until they were like 16 in this society, but we don't go by this society. We go by the laws of God. And you can't serve in the military or as a servant, as a priest in the temple until you was over 20 years of age. We're going to get to that a little bit later. Make powerful, praise, magnify, do great things. To grow up, to become great, to be magnified. So y'all get the picture. Dealing with to grow or to be grown. All right, so this is from PlannedParenthood.org. The question was, when does a boy start on his puberty? Guys start producing spermatozoa or sperm for short at the onset of puberty. Puberty starts at different times for different people. Boys usually start puberty when they're around 10 or 12 years old. So, if that is the same weirdo mentality that we're going to use for flower of her age, okay, 1 Corinthians 7, then why is it not the same for a boy? Why did she have to wait until he became grown in Genesis 38 and 11? Because he didn't pass the flower of his age yet. Even though at 10 or 12 years old, he's able to bring forth children. You understand? Same thing that y'all say, that flower of her age, she's able to make children, be fruitful and multiply. Come on, man. There's some weirdos in Israel. Okay? Why did Tamar have to wait until he was grown if the same principle applies to a girl at puberty you can marry? Answer that question. Numbers 30 and 3. If a woman also vow unto the Most High and bind herself by bond, being in her father's house in her youth. Okay? We talked about this earlier. About a man not able to give his daughter to a pedophile in Israel. Okay? Because he's going to cause her to be a whore. He's going to prostitute his daughter. She has not yet passed the flower of her age. So she's in her youth. Okay? So this isn't to say, I don't want nobody getting twisted, that once she passed 20 years of age, if she's still in her father's house, then she doesn't have to go through her father to get permission for marriage still. No, that's still the case. You still got to go through that father. All right? We're talking about age of consent for a man. Able to give an offering. Okay? In Exodus 30 and 14, everyone that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Lord. Why? Why? Because you're making a sound decision. You have age. You have matured. You're able to know what's right and what's wrong. And you're able to give an offering unto the Lord in spirit and in truth. In order to serve in the military. Numbers 1 and 3, from 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel, thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies. So this is when the time that Tamar had to wait for Shelah to grow up, to be grown to 20 years of age or older. Salakia. Yeah, Salakia. Had to take care of the youngin, the little prince coming up. All right, I left off at, in order to serve in the military, Numbers 1 and 3, from 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel. Thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies. I want to get another scripture. I believe it's in Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I just came across this on a humble. Deuteronomy 20:14. But the woman and the little ones, yeah, is blocking it. The little ones, you see that, Israel? But the woman and the little ones. I want to look up that word, if I can, on a spot real quick. Toph, little ones. Perhaps referring to the tripping gait of children, a family, mostly used collectively in the singular. Little children, ones, families. Little ones, little children, little children. Okay? It says, opposed to young men and virgins, Ezekiel 9:6, to men above 20 years of age. So anybody below 20 years of age is a little one, is a youngin, as we like to say. They're a youngin. So, in case, of this brother Yaquab and HOI dealing with that, at the time, allegedly, 15-year-old girl, she was a youngin, she was a little one. She was not past the flower of age, even up until today, her being, quote-unquote, 17 years of age. She is still not past the flower of her age. She's still considered a little one. She's under 20 years of age. This includes everybody, not just the men. All right? In Deuteronomy 20. Let's go back to that chapter. And I meant to go here for the military part, but that just came up on a humble. Slovakia. All right, Deuteronomy 20 and verse 4. It says, for the Most High your Elohim is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. Verse 5, and the officer shall speak unto the people, saying, what man is there that have built a new house and have not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man dedicate it. Why would another man be able to dedicate his home? Okay. Verse 6, and what man is he that hath planted a vineyard and have not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man eat of it. Meaning it's passed down to his children as an inheritance. And what man is there that have betrothed a wife and have not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her. So again, if you're 20 years of age or older, you just hit 20 and you going into the military to serve the Most High in Israel, in Israel's army, you were betrothed to a wife, because don't get it twisted. I'm not sitting here saying that you can't be betrothed unto a woman at a young age. We just read that with Tamar and Salah, when she was betrothed unto him, but she had to wait until he became grown before he could go in unto her. That's your cut, Israel. That's your cut. He had to wait. Well, she had to wait until he was grown. So just becoming 20 years of age, you betrothed, and you haven't went in unto your wife, and Israel getting ready for the battle. You couldn't go because you had to go in unto that wife. She's not going out to battle. And you had to, plant seed inside of her so you can leave an inheritance. You can have a son to carry on your name, Most High willing, if you die in the battle. So that's the law of being 20 years of age or older that we read in Numbers 1 and 3. From 20 years old and upward, all that are able to go forth to war in Israel. So it's the same for a woman. In order for her to be that wife, he just hit 20, she just hit 20. He able to go in unto her. So that means it's the same for both parties. Just the same as it was with Tamar having to wait until he got grown. If it was different, then she would have been able to have children with him being 10 or 12 years old. Like it tells you, puberty starts by PlannedParenthood.org. To serve as a priest. 1 Chronicles 23 and 24. These were the sons of Levi after the house of their fathers, even the chief of the fathers, as they were counted by number of names, by their posts, that did the work for the service of the house of the Most High, from the age of 20 years and upward. When you continue to read the law, you retire at the age of 50 when you become an elder. So that little 30-year period, this is where the society is getting this stuff from. You serve 30 years for a company, then you retire. They didn't just get this from nowhere of their own accord. They got this out of the Bible. Little ones. I just read that in Deuteronomy, 20? About being a little one. Anybody under 20 years of age is a little one. Numbers 14 and 29. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were number of you, according to your whole number. This includes men and women. For anybody who think there's a difference, it was only for the men they had to be 20 years of age in order for them to serve in the military, to marry, to become a man. Before a young girl, a damsel, she could be younger. We got them young in Israel. This is the weirdo mentality, right? This says the whole number, everybody, men and women, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless, ye shall not come into the land concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. Here's the point, verse 31. But your what? Your little ones. Your youngins. This is the whole number, Israel. This is not just talking about the men. Your little ones, which he said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. The whole number. Anybody under 20 years of old or above, if you're younger than 20, you are considered a little one according to the law. So in closing, we're going to go back to the law and the charges against Elder Yaqua or HOI. Deuteronomy 22 and 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field and a man force her, you force that young girl through your smooth words and your smooth speech. You force her. She doesn't have the mental capacity to understand what marriage is, what she's doing. She has not passed the flower of her age. You force her, and if you have laid with her, or if you intend on lying with her, because it says, even the thought of foolishness is sin in the eyes of the Most High. Then the man only that lie with her shall die. That's according to the law. That's your sentence. is death according to the law. We understand that we under grace in this society. So at the very least, you should be put in jail according to Esau's standard. That should be your sentence if the evidence bears out and you did what you're being accused of. Verse 26 says, "But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter." So, I'm also hearing, again, according to the videos that Elder Quinath have been putting out, that this young girl was consenting to that stuff. Even though she doesn't know what she's doing, she's still under the law as well. So let's go Deuteronomy 22. Let's read the law on this young girl if she go out and play the whore in her father's house in her youth. This is Deuteronomy 22 and 13. "If a man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel," from infancy to adolescence, "and her mother take and bring forth the token of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter to this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he have given occasion to speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid," meaning a virgin. "And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall immense him 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought an evil name upon the virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But, if the thing be true, and the tokens of her virginity be not found for the damsel," meaning, if she had did something with Elder Yaqua, and she was promised by another, her parents separated her because of this whole situation in Israel, and she has now been betrothed to another man in Israel, in a different camp, a different congregation, who is more righteous in judgment, and he go in unto her and find her not a maid. If this thing be true, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she had wrought folly in Israel, meaning the whole land fall into wickedness. Do not prostitute thy daughter to be a whore, because she hath wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. So once again, message to the Elder Quinath out of FOPE, and every the brother Tasha Doc, all the other elders and different congregations that have spoken on this matter. Peace and blessings unto every one of y'all. Thank you for doing that wonderful work in this situation. Moving forward, it will be wise to bring forth evidence of what charge you're going to charge these individuals with. Bring forth the witnesses. Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word should be established. With that being said, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yah, through His Son Yahushua and Yeshua, the Hamashiach, the anointed Savior of the nation of Israel. Peace and blessings. Shalom.